Hello everyone, in this video we will be looking at how this Google Spreadsheet tool helps us in the monitoring and evaluation process. We will also be looking into another feature called the Learning Points Table inside this tool. Now, for the M&E process, monitoring and evaluation process, it is done in the M&E tab over here, just behind the INT tab. And there are three major sections in this tab: documentation to the left, recording, and nutrition diagnosis. And this guideline is actually an unfinished concept. Next is the learning point feature that I was talking about over here. This is meant for you to document your learning points as you review the case, after you review the case. Now, before we proceed, please remember that this tool is only meant to help us with the documentation purpose and calculations, but not actually replace us for the critical thinking process. Now let's have a look. Say this is the usual table that we would use to show our monitoring and evaluation in a case presentation. So let's say if we want to monitor the anthropometry domain of the patient, specifically the weight as well as the height, and the indicator of success being the weight gain by 5 kg in 3 months and height gain of 20 cm in 3 months. You can put this time frame as 3 months or 1 month, whichever appropriate. You can also split this parameter into two parameter: height gain by 20 cm in 3 months with the same time frame as the one above. Now you see that all of these changes are actually reflected over here. Height with goal of height gain by 20 cm. Now if we edit this one as well, the changes will also again be reflected. You can also monitor other domains. Say biochemical domain, we wanted to monitor the patient's sodium level with an indicator of success of drop to normal range 135 to 145 millimole with a time frame of say 2 weeks or maybe even daily. So that changes will again be reflected in your DIME. Next is this TCA. This is an abbreviation for to come again. Sometimes the patient might follow up in 3 months time. So right now is October and we want to follow up with the patient on the 1st of January. Ideally if it's 3 months time, but the 1st January is a holiday, so we can put it at agree with the patient, etc. 8th of January 2021. That will also be reflected over here, TCA 08/01/21. This is not necessarily a cell to put in date. You can also put in discharge, and that changes will also be reflected here as TCA discharge. If you don't put anything, that will not be displayed at all in the DIME section. This is the nutrition diagnosis with the signs and symptoms for your reference in recording section, so that your DIME will be more accurate with the other ADI processes. The guideline is a concept that I didn't manage to work with. So if you look at your M&E guidelines or any guidelines in general, there will be guidelines on what parameters to monitor for a specific disease. That was what it was meant to do, this guideline section, to show the appropriate MNT with the appropriate parameters to monitor. But that's a concept that I didn't actually come around working on. Now let's talk about this feature. This learning point feature. What it does is it helps us to document the learning points that we have in a certain case. For a demonstration purpose, medicine A has the effect of B, so it is used in context C. And you can also have test for your biochem, etc. Now, if we move over to your NCP sheet, here below the dietary paper, you would see that the learning points are actually displayed over here. Then you can immediately copy this table over to your case presentation slides. Usually in our DP1 we have to present the learning points that we had, so that's one point that we can. This is a feature that I've designed specifically for that purpose, so that as you document for your case, you can also immediately remember any of the learning points that you have learned. You put it down here and immediately just copy that table and put it over to Google Slide, instead of creating a table in Google Slide and typing it in again from the NCP that you have already written. So that's the point of M&E Learning Points Table. With that, we would have gone through the whole ADME processes for the entire NCP tool. In the subsequent videos, I'll be discussing on some of the tabs that you see here, which are actually only serving as the background tasks or background data for the Google spreadsheet to be working on. But that's all for this video. There are three major sections. Documentation, this is the part where you record everything. This is an unfinished concept. This is for your reference as you type your M&E, and this is a learning point to help with your own learning experience as well as preparation for case presentation. See you in the next video. Thank you.